Assalamu alaikum dear students. We will be discussing the characteristics of non-native varieties of English. It is one of the important topic in the course of World Englishes. Our focus will be what are the characteristics and features of non-native varieties of English language, specifically in South Asia and generally in the world. It is a brief lecture on the topic. For a detailed understanding the phonological features of non-native varieties, the syntactic and the morphological features of non-native varieties, you can consult a book, The Handbook of World Englishes. Let's start with our discussion. The indigenization of English occurs whenever it is used by a speaker of any other language. It becomes a non-native variety when it is used in a non-native context. There is a consequence of what Weinreich, in a pioneering study of language contact, calls interference. He defines interference as the term interference implies the arrangement of patterns that result from the introduction of foreign elements into the more highly structured domains of language, such as the bulk of the phonemic system, a large part of morphology and syntax, and some areas of vocabulary that is included or introduced to any standard variety of a language or any foreign language or any domain of a highly structured language. It is also known as mother tongue interference, L1 interference. So thus the variety which is standard and which is a native variety of any language is used in a non-native context. It is a general phenomena that these non-native people users they will add some features from their own language and culture. Thus, they will indigenize this variety of language. Following this definition, we can say that Pakistani English is an interference variety of English. Why? Because our culture, our languages, native languages interfered. There are some additions from our side. Furthermore, it is an institutionalized variety because it is used for different purposes in different domains and has certain distinctive features. Such varieties may be regarded as varieties of English in their own right rather than stages on their way to move native like English. So these are considered variety of English language. They are not a change. They are not movement from substandard variety to a standard native variety. Thus seeing them as inadequate for deficient forms of English as linguistic flights or mistakes is both presumptuous and enormous. They should not be considered deficient form of English. Kachru has emphasized the deterministic influence of cultural forces on language. For him, the term interference is merely indicative of linguistic change in a culturally and linguistically pluralistic language contact situation. When two languages are in contact, there will be a linguistic change because of this contact. And that linguistic change is because of the different culture where a language is introduced. He goes on to explain Indianisms in terms of deviation. The deviation is measured with respect to a norm, which in the case of India and Pakistan is British Standard English. Our norm is British Standard English. But one may also deviate from British Standard English, or in fact any linguistic norm, because one has not acquired the language. It is not the native language. There will be a change between the use of English in Pakistan and the use of English in British. Now, according to Kachru, a deviation has the following characteristics. It is different from the norm in the sense that it is the result of new un-English linguistics and cultural setting in which the language is used. A language is used as a in a new culture. Thus, it is somehow changed from the norm, from the language, the native language that is used as mother tongue in one place. Now, in new culture, it is a new English or a new language. It is the result of productive process which marks the typical variety specific features, and it is systematic within a variety and not idiosyncratic. Now it means that this deviation is itself a norm. It is systematic. It is a variety that is also rule governed. This deviation can be taken as a systematic patterns of structure, and this should not be considered a mistake. That's why Kachru says that the deviations, these new Englishes, these new non-native varieties, they are rule governed and they follow a specific pattern. They are not mistakes. Thus, when the phonological rule of L1 or any language are used to pronounce the word of L2, the systematic deviation of a speaker are rule governed and produce what we call an accent. In the same way, when the cultural context produces new words or changes the meanings of a word from L1, what we get are lexical and semantic deviations. Now, these differences are not mistakes. These are deviations with the introduction of new cultural elements and features in a new context. A language gets changed. The same way these meanings they are borrowed or they are added to a language or the words added to a language because of the culture. So these semantics and lexical and phonological deviations, they are not mistakes. Studies of non-native varieties focus on these deviations and attempt to describe the distinctive feature of these varieties with reference to them. Now, some people they conduct research on the similarities and differences of English and Pashto or Urdu or Hindi language, and they discuss what are these distinctive features of both these varieties, how they are distinct from each other, and how much they are similar to each other. Since non-native varieties are deviant with respect to native varieties, it is possible to see them as wrong or deficient. This was the approach of the several native and non-native speakers earlier. However, if it is recognized that deviation need not be equated with inferiority or acquisitional deficiency, it is possible to see them as autonomous and correct in terms of their own norms. It is up to the people. Earlier, in the past, people used to consider these non-native varieties deficient varieties or inferior varieties. But now, with the passage of time, people have realized, and it should be realized, that these non-native varieties are correct. They are autonomous norms in their own contexts. And thus, to accept non-native English as varieties of English, it is necessary that they should be considered partly Indo-normative. On the other hand, in countries where English is not institutionalized, all the norms of its use are exonormatives. That is, British, American, Australian. The varieties of English used in such countries, EFL countries, may be called performance varieties, whereas those used in ESL countries are called institutionalized varieties. This is simple to understand. Now, with this in mind, we can say that the non-native varieties of English are the non-native Englishes. They might be deviant in terms of phonology, in terms of semantics mainly, and up to some extent in terms of morphology and syntax. We will be discussing the characteristics of Pakistani English specifically in another video, and in that video we will come to know what are the distinct varieties of a non-native English or of a new English or of a variety of English language. Thanks for watching.